Hi, I'm Jarv of the Galactic Alliance. So, what is exohumanism? I first have to state that when I coined the term, I was unaware that allegedly in our timeline there was already a use for the word. However, I did not see it popularized at all. So I coined my own definition for the term exohumanism. Now, I'm going to give you that definition in just a little bit, but first I want to establish that this definition of exohumanism is not inspired by or relating to the other definitions in any way, shape, or form. The ones by Alexandra Petskov, or whatever his name is, I hope I didn't butcher that, or any of the other ones that have to do with a humanism that goes up against AI or whatever. I didn't even know those existed when I coined the phrase. However, it is interesting and quite surprising that their definitions are similar, but not exactly the same. Like I said, I never even knew about those people. I never even knew about that definition. When I coined the phrase, I did not see it being used at all, so I was like, this is what exohumanism would mean. Exo means out of. What exohumanism means, it means humans that go out. So, human, an exohuman is someone who fights extinction. An exohuman is someone who departs Earth. An exohuman is someone who understands that you can't pick and choose your genocide. You have to be morally and righteously so, logically, rational, maybe even ethically, some say, consistent and opposed to extinction entirely. The way I've envisioned exohumanism, it's ultra-traditional, not religious, or in other words, not necessarily the traditions of the past, but tradition as in understanding how reality works first, interacting with reality, assuming there's a level of basic objective reality, first understanding that reality, then interacting in a way to create a superior outcome with the knowledge of how reality works. This currently will appear ultra-traditional, because when you understand how reality is, and then you interact with reality in a way that produces better outcomes for human beings, and you oppose consistently, morally, ethically maybe even, but also logically, using rationale or whatever, you logically oppose extinction, and you're against every genocide, everything that's unhealthy, everything that's pro-extinction, it's going to appear traditional. You don't have to trust me on this, but we live in a very liberal world, a very open, free world, and the open, free, liberal worlds, every single time, end up going extinct to some degree. Essentially, you can think of it as a cycle, the awake cycle, I call it the dragon cycle. Has something to do with the 26,000 year cycle in astrology, but you have the cataclysms, right? And so the idea is to escape the cycle. The idea is to survive the cataclysm and prove to God that you're not just doing the Babel project, that you're not just freedom for nothing, but you have to balance duty with freedom. Exohumans have the duty to fight extinction. And so without all the theoretical jargon of the old terms, this term I created separately, without even knowing those people existed, without even knowing that their definition existed, and this is a simple, puritanical definition. What it means to be exohuman is someone who fights extinction. What it means to be exohumanism is the ideology, the culture that fights extinction. The whole function of exohumanism is to build a superior culture that is ultra-traditional in the way, like I just described. If you're being healthy, you're working out, you're encouraging healthy pro-salvation activities, you're going to be going against the natural feeling of liberal societies to just let anything go. Because duty comes first. The duty to fight extinction. So it's like, well, I could sterilize myself, I could be gay, I could do all these other things, but all those things that are objectively pro-extinction when you increase and you promote that, you get more extinction. And so the birth rate is 2.2. When it hits below 2.1, the species is on the path already to extinction. Tons of genocides, tons of wars, so many other things that are extinction. Obviously, we need exohumanism. And if you look at all the cultures that are traditional or aren't, and you think that they're good enough for you, and you think that they're better than exohumanism, you had them. You still have them. And you are going extinct. They didn't work. They didn't cut it. Clearly, we need a new interpretation of the term go forth. And that is exohumanism. Exohumanism, in a nutshell, is expansionism manifested. It's go forth. It is manifested destiny. It is salvation from extinction. It is the very action of survival. That's exohumanism. And you can break it down logically. The things that produce more life and less death, the things that produce more survival, the things that produce more healthiness, those are exohuman things. It's logically and morally consistent. And interesting that it has some similarities with the other definitions of exohumanism, but the truth is, I had no idea that those even existed. And that's insane. But if you look at what it means, and those, I'm going to go ahead and define those as being exohumanism, but what I'm talking about here is exohumanism. Exohumanism is not the same as exohumanism. It's not humanism. What it is essentially, because technically humanism is like, let's do our own thing, fuck God, that sort of a thing. But exohumanism is obeying the first commandment before all other commandments. Go forth, be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth, expand, subdue it. I'm going to add a little bit here. Rule the birds of the sea, the birds of the air, and if there are any birds in outer space. Survive extinction. Escape this cycle. Balance duty and freedom. E+. It's exohumanism, baby.